Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be talking about Seattle versus San Francisco. Which city suits your lifestyle the best? What's the cost of living comparatively speaking? And which city is more expensive? Get comfy, stay tuned. Hi guys, and thanks for tuning in. This is Francisco Dictado with the Living in Seattle YouTube channel. I am a licensed real estate broker in the greater Seattle area. So if you're thinking about moving, relocating, me and my team, we've got your back. We're here to share with you what it's like to eat, live, work, play in Seattle, Washington. And so in this video series, we're gonna go over what the experiences in Seattle might be like for you. We're happy to share with you what our thoughts, emotions, and lifestyle looks like over here in Seattle. And every day, me and my team answer questions about what it's like to live in Seattle. So if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's my information right there. We've got your back. Call, text, email, send me a letter, whatever it takes, give us a ring, and we'd be happy to share with you all of our expert knowledge about Seattle, Washington, and get you in the right home when the time is right. Hey guys, so in this video, I'm gonna be going over San Francisco versus Seattle. We'll do a quick city comparison and hopefully give you guys a better idea of which city might actually fit your needs the best. We're gonna hit topics such as cost of living, population density, the diversity within the cities, and just how much it'll cost to live in said city, Seattle or San Francisco. All right guys, so I'm just gonna jump right into it and get into the hard-hitting questions you want to know. I've been thinking about this for a long time personally, and I've always wondered who has the best music. Is it Seattle? Is it San Francisco? And so I had a hard time with this, so I wanna get it out of my head and just put it out there and ask you guys what you think. For a long, long time, I've thought San Francisco had the better music scene, better music, better artists, and that sort of thing. I love E40, Mac Dre, all of those rappers that came out of the Bay Area, super supported them and thought they were the best. But I've been thinking about it lately, and I feel like Seattle actually might have a better music scene. And so go ahead and at me, whatever you want to do. I'm just gonna throw out a few bands and you know, let's do a comparison, right? I've got Pearl Jam out of Seattle, Nirvana out of Seattle, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, the list goes on, and we've got some pretty influential music and artists coming out of Seattle. So I don't know that I've really figured out who's got the best music yet, but figured I'd start off because that was a burning question for me. And tell me what you think. Right now, I feel like it's a draw, but you know, I love E40 and Nirvana, two totally different genres, but really great music. So tell me what you think. All right, guys, so let's jump into some numbers that concern San Francisco. The population is about 900,000. That's the fourth most populous city in California. San Francisco is the second most expensive city in the United States, just behind New York City. San Francisco on average is about 80% higher than the national cost of living. So right off the bat, you can see that we're talking about a more expensive city. There's more billionaires in San Francisco than there is in any other place in the world. To be able to comfortably live in San Francisco, you have to be making at least $120,000 a year. Interestingly enough, San Francisco is also home, or not home, to children because they have the least amount of children per capita in the United States as well. So everybody here in San Francisco is either grinding or trying to get rich and then maybe moving out to the suburbs to have kids. So get your money in San Francisco. All right, so just a few more numbers to throw at you. Well, we're talking about the housing market in San Francisco. The median house price in San Francisco right now is about $1.7 million. And it's a very competitive housing market. So I can assume that these homes that hit the markets out there are not sitting for too long, and you're probably in a really competitive situation, even with the rates where they are right now. We still have scarcity of inventory, so it's just basic economics, supply versus demand. We just don't have enough supply for the amount of home buyers, capable home buyers that are in the market right now. The average rent for a 3-bedroom in San Francisco is about $5,700. You know, if you're coming from New York, these numbers probably don't seem all that gaudy. If you're coming from middle of America or any other place really, these numbers could be quite a bit of a shock. So just keep that in mind. And one thing to remember as we're talking about, everything is relative to the job market and salaries, right? If you're working for a particular company that offers you a place to live in Seattle versus San Francisco, you're probably going to get more bang for your buck in Seattle, and that's guaranteed just by looking at the numbers and the population density between San Francisco and Seattle. Another thing to consider when you're thinking about living in San Francisco or in Seattle, public transportation. That seems to be the go-to when you're in San Francisco. The BART system, the light rail, all of that is pretty well connected and is a great way to deliver people from point A to point B, as opposed to Seattle, where we are still working on implementing our light rail stations and are probably 10 to 20 years behind, maybe even farther behind than what San Francisco already currently has in place. Another thing to think about is the weather. The weather in both cities is pretty mild. San Francisco, you might have the fog. In Seattle, you might have more gray skies and drizzle. I think it definitely gets colder in Seattle. We actually have snow in Seattle about 3 to 5 days out of the year. I don't think it's ever gonna snow in San Francisco. So Seattle probably is a little bit colder in the winter and probably not as hot in the summertime. Fog in San Fran and gray skies in Seattle. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things that I really enjoy talking about and being a part of. So San Francisco is considered a foodie's heaven, and I would agree with them. When I think of San Francisco food, I think of Fisherman's Wharf and sourdough bread, fantastic seafood, awesome Chinese food. But when I think about Seattle, I feel like we've got just as good of seafood. We've got some fantastic restaurants. I will say San Francisco probably has a better Mexican food and is more well known for their Mission burritos. Seattle probably, I would probably go to for teriyaki. But both cities, super diverse, and that's one of the things I love about both of these cities in particular, is that you have such a melting pot of people, different cultures, and that just brings a ton more ideas, a ton more culinary delights. And so I think as far as food is concerned, there might just be more options in San Francisco, but as far as quality and taste, I think they're on par with each other. Another big thing, and I'm really into sports, so I see it a lot, is the rivalries and which city has the better sports franchises. Obviously, you've got the 49ers in San Francisco, and over here, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. That's a running debate. I'm a homer, so I'm always gonna root for the Seahawks. San Fran's having a great year. They just beat us in the playoffs. Good luck to you guys, and I hope you don't win a Super Bowl, because that bang bang Niner gang is really, really annoying. And I'm sure the 12s out here in Seattle are the same way, but we're fans for a reason. Good luck to you guys. I think that the sports cultures in both cities are really rich in tradition. The San Francisco Giants have been doing really, really well in recent history. The Mariners just brought the city together last summer and had their first playoff appearance in 20 years. So there's a lot of good things happening in both cities if you're into sports. I think if you're looking for the experience, Safeco Field, which is now known as T-Mobile Park, on a summer day can't be beat. And I know The setting down there at Oracle Park for a Giants baseball game is pretty fantastic. You're right on the water, and how can you beat the Golden State Warriors right now? Steph Curry pretty much reinvented the game, and I would imagine going to one of those games has got to be pretty special. I got the chance to watch him in Denver one time play the Nuggets, and just love the way the Warriors play ball and share the ball with each other. So it's a really fun brand of basketball to watch. So again, if you're into sports, both cities really rich in tradition with that. Lots of really strong fan bases and lots of cool events and amenities and stadiums to go check out and hang out. So as far as the sporting world is concerned, either city, I don't think you could go wrong. I think San Francisco's probably done a little bit more winning with their franchises, but Seattle, as always, is always looking up at San Francisco, and hopefully one day will amount to just as many, if not more, championships in the major sports. And one question I wanted to bring up is, because I talk to my clients and I hear it a lot, is, what is going to happen to the Seattle market? Are we going to top out? Are we going to hit a point where we just can't climb anymore? And I always say, hey, well, look at the West Coast and tell me what other city outside of California is thriving. There's a few. I mean, you got Portland and to me, Seattle. To me, Seattle's always looking up at San Francisco and kind of what their ceilings are as far as housing prices, job opportunities, and so forth and so on. So I feel like when people are asking what's going to happen in the economy in Seattle, do we have more room for growth? I always say, yeah. I mean, look at what San Francisco has been able to do. Think about how dense that city has become. Think about how those job opportunities have affected families and salaries. I feel like Seattle is maybe a tier below the amount of job opportunities, but still very high paying jobs in Seattle. And the tech industry and the tech companies really go back and forth between Seattle and San Francisco when we're talking about office spaces and employees on the West Coast. So to me, Seattle has not reached its ceiling, and there is still room for growth, even though some of us locals can't believe it or can't fathom it. I just look down south to our neighbors in San Fran and say, if they can do it and if they can sustain it, I don't see why Seattle can't do the same. And so still tons of room for growth, still opportunity for real estate investors in Seattle. So to me, Seattle is just a little bit smaller and slower paced than San Francisco, with some of the same job opportunities and lots of the same amenities, just on a smaller scale. The diversity remains consistent, and just the open arms and community, I think, are similar, just different scales. So depending on your lifestyle and what your finances and salary requirements look like, I think both cities equally have a ton to offer. There's a lot of similarities, and to me, I feel like Seattle is just a little bit behind San Francisco in terms of growth and in terms of financial pinnacles, right? So there's just more money right now in San Francisco, more billionaires in the world in San Fran than anywhere else, which is pretty interesting and crazy to think. So yeah, I mean, room to grow in Seattle. Ask yourself, what feels the best? Maybe you've got family up here in Seattle or down in the Bay. I think, again, both cities, fantastic, but what does it mean to you as a consumer, as a homeowner, as a potential renter and tenant? What's your style? What's your vibe? I think Seattle is more laid back, and in San Francisco, you're gonna get more of that big city feel. So that's my 2 cents. All right, guys, so that does it for my San Francisco versus Seattle comparison. If you guys want detailed numbers and stats and all of that about Seattle, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to share with you any information that may help your move to Seattle, Washington. And as always, we've got your back. If you're thinking about moving, relocating, we're happy to take care of you. We're here day and night to tell you what it's like to eat, live, work, play, sleep, and chill in Seattle. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me and my team. We're here for you. See you soon.
Sometimes you wanna go. Everybody knows your name. Takes every